Hello and welcome to a reintroduction into RMRK. Please let me know if you can hear me okay, and we'll get started. Just write in the chat if it's all good, if you can hear me. All right, perfect. Okay, so now this going live has sent out the email to everybody who's subscribed to get notified. So let's give them about 3 minutes to join. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna test something, make sure it works, and we'll be right back. Play some elevator music for yourselves. All right, let's dive in. So welcome again to everybody. We're going to be doing a reintroduction into RMRK with some added things at the end. This is basically identical to the presentation I had at ECC, so if you were there, feel free to tune out for the next 40 minutes. But then we'll have a little demo, and we'll open it up to Q&A. So you can ask anything you want. Please use the ask a question box below at the bottom of your screen. This helps me answer the questions as I see them appear, but also when I answer them, they will be timestamped to when they were answered, so that people who tune in later can actually just click on the question and just be taken directly to the answer. So don't ask in chat, ask a question instead. I will be keeping an eye on these as we go along on my other screen. So if you have any questions during the presentation, as long as they're sane questions, I will try to answer them immediately, so that you don't have to wait until the end to find the answer. I see that there are actually some questions already, so let me cover those before we begin. Will there be any eggs for a latecomer like me? I was late to discover the project. Sorry, Rickson, eggs are gone. I don't think we'll be doing eggs again, and that ship has sailed. You will be able to get the birds though, as people start selling them on the open market, and so you can grab them or any other items that these birds will own, and so on. But the egg ship has sailed. Crisp Skies asks, is there scope for a guaranteed 0.1% reft rate or limited edition egg owned by the top most active and loyal Canary community members? No. But we will definitely reward our most loyal community members. Like, we wouldn't be where we are without our community, and so we know to appreciate everything good that you've done in both just disseminating content and policing the Telegram channel and doing everything else. So we're not ending the community engagement, the memery, the contests, and the appreciation of the community in any way. It's going to keep going. All right, let's get started. Let me share my screen. Another question. Okay. Are you planning an education program for developers and or creators? Are you going to create a wide creators community? We are planning an education program for developers and creators. Nothing too official, no certification or something like that, but we are going to be improving the docs significantly next week. Hold on a second. We'll be doing a huge revamp of the entire docs, and it's going to be very approachable to developers, newcomers, everybody. A little bit of a kind of a speed bump there is that we are going to be moving our logic, which is currently TypeScript, into Rust. That's going to be deployed natively on some chains, and so some of this interaction, some of this development around it will change a little bit. Will become simpler for some, more complicated for others, but we will meticulously document everything, and even like sponsor development of some apps, tools, and everything for Remark. We do want to grow the ecosystem. As for a creators community, we want to, and if you have creators that are looking for a new platform, definitely send them our way. But we want to enrich the Singular platform a lot more before we start casting a wider net to attract a more wider community. Like the two basic features that people are asking for and that we need in order to be appealing to the wider community are auctions and is at least bidding and royalties, and then later auctions. So all of this is on the roadmap, but you know, it's not there yet. Other priorities. Okay, I think we can get started. Just a second here. Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. There we go. So we'll go through the theory of Remark, why it exists first, and then we'll move on to other stuff. So if you don't know, this is me. You can always reach me on Telegram, Twitter, email, whatever. Just, you know, shoot me over a message, and I'll be happy to reply whenever I find the time. Before we go into Remark itself, we have to cover Kusama and Polkadot a little bit for those of you who are not native to this ecosystem. You might be familiar with blockchains like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. They are layer 1 blockchains. And layer 1 blockchains are trying to scale and meet the demand of the community by building layer 2 solutions. So these are like little side chains on the side of the main chain that just periodically talk to the main chain and communicate back the results of their computations. So this is how they scale. They just move the bulk of transactions elsewhere and then just report back the result. Polkadot helps scaling not in the layer 2 way, but in a layer 0 way. Polkadot and Kusama are blockchains that help these other blockchains connect to each other. And the trick there is that any chain that connects to Polkadot or Kusama gives its features to every other chain that's already connected there. And so it kind of grows exponentially. Every chain that gets connected adds its features to all the other ones, and every chain that gets connected after that, again, adds its features to all the other ones. So this is why this network is growing so fast in terms of features, but also in terms of size. And so this is Polkadot. Polkadot is meant to connect them, and each chain can be very application specific. So you can have one chain that only deals with like trivial transactions, like, you know, like I don't know, Starbucks transactions, coffee stuff. Another chain can be dealing solely with NFTs. Another chain can be dealing only with DeFi. But because they're all connected, they can all communicate with each other and share these features. But you avoid the problem like we have on Ethereum even today, where a popular project will grind the network to a halt for half an hour, a few hours, or even a day or more because of its popularity. And this happens because you have like on a chain like Ethereum, when you execute a coffee transactions for 50 cents, you are using the same security as the transaction that is moving $2 billion. It's all happening on the same thing. But if you can offload all the frequent little coffee transactions into a separate chain that processes them really well, that's optimized for that, what you get from that is an optimized offloading into a chain that is specialized for that, while the rest of the ecosystem can do what it's specialized for in its regard. And this is why we chose to build on Kusama. So Kusama is an early version of Polkadot. Polkadot has these two versions. There's Polkadot and there's Kusama. And Kusama is like this, started out as an incentivized test network, like a Canary network, but it evolved into its own thing. It became like this very artsy blockchain with its own cult-like following and a very big community. And so it's now a standalone chain, completely separate from Polkadot, that still gets all the code and all the upgrades first. By deploying on Kusama, what we get is and henceforth I will be referring to Kusama only because we're not present on Polkadot and we don't intend to be in this current format. So on Kusama, by deploying on Kusama, what we get is we're instantly connectable to all the other chains. We're immediately present on all the other chains that connect to us, to Kusama itself. And this gives us a huge advantage because chains like Ethereum and like Bitcoin will be bridged into Kusama eventually, whether they want this or not. And so we will be immediately available on those chains as well. So this is where RMRK is kind of uniquely positioned to be the true multi-chain leader in NFTs. Without having to do much, everybody else is doing the work of connecting. I personally low-key think that KSM is better than DOT, and so don't tell this to the higher ups. But I really like KSM. I really like its culture. I really like how it's going and the experimental nature of it. I don't mind the occasional chaos. RMRK itself broke Kusama, the chain itself, twice, and these were all good lessons to be learned. So, big Kusama fan here. And so the Kusama blockchain is kind of artsy, it's cypherpunk heaven, and it supports epic art projects like the Vancouver Art Project by Jessica Angel, which is basically an augmented reality installation under an overpass in Vancouver where you can walk around with an AR app or AR glasses or whatever, and you will see floating NFTs around you. You can click them and you'll see them in Singular, our NFT platform, which is a really cool implementation and one of the first, if not the first, of its kind in the world. And so Kusama is, in my opinion, what art will call home. When we evolve this a little bit further, this is where everything edgy, everything artsy will be happening. And I'm not talking about just the expensive JPEGs of today, what NFTs basically are. I'm talking about real, useful NFTs that we're getting to. So one of the most frequent questions we get is, why didn't we just launch on Ethereum or any EVM chain, just write some smart contracts and get it over with and be instantly available everywhere? This is a valid question because all the users and all the collectors and everything is on Ethereum. It's an economically smart choice. However, there are several reasons why this was not an option for RMRK. Reason one is that any standard that you write on Ethereum is a hack. Ethereum as a chain itself is not aware of tokens, of non-native tokens. So it's aware of Ether, like a native token, but it has no idea what a token is, what a fungible token is, what an ERC20 is. It has no idea what an ERC721 is. All of these are just hacks, spreadsheets with different words on them that then the chain is taught to show to you, the UI is taught to read to you as an NFT. And because of this, there's a huge lack of efficiency. NFTs in particular, they're just a bunch of strings saved in a database. And the EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine, is not optimized for saving strings. This is why even the simplest interaction with an NFT on Ethereum costs a few dollars, even a simple send. And for this reason, we couldn't develop Remark on it because our NFTs require frequent interaction with them. Our NFTs are, as you'll see, forward compatible with future projects. They have multiple resources. They're equipable and unequipable into other NFTs. There are frequent interactions that you do with these NFTs that will just be too expensive on any EVM chain, no matter how unused it is. So purely because of the inefficiency of storage in EVM, you cannot make this on Ethereum in a way that it should be made. It just cannot be done. If you look at the blockchain in general as a chain, it's as a piece of software, it's just a big spreadsheet that keeps balances. And the blockchain just checks how many tokens each balance has, and if Alice wants to send 2 Bitcoins to Bob, she just subtracts 2 from her balance and adds 2 to his. Miners are just computers that are keeping an eye on the spreadsheet and making sure that Alice doesn't do something she's not supposed to do. An NFT is this. It's just another dimension added to this table. Anyone who builds an NFT can put any values inside it that they want, as custom as they want to make them. So it's up to them which columns they include in their NFT. The problem is that all of these columns are basically either big numbers or strings. And so this is inefficient storage. Another problem is that when you build this, if you want to go anywhere beyond expensive JPEGs or expensive PNGs, as Chris Sky says, you have to write a ton of smart contracts to add this custom functionality. And by adding these, what happens is you get all of this functionality that's very cool in your own UI, but completely useless elsewhere. And this is because all the marketplaces on Ethereum right now are very, very comfortable in ERC 721, ERC 1155. These are 2 standards for NFTs on Ethereum. They make them a lot of money, and anything custom feels too custom to support, with good reason. Standards are there to be standards. And so adding custom support into something like OpenSea for a custom project is very, very difficult. You have to have insane liquidity, insane popularity for them to choose to support your custom stuff. And if you want to expand the standards and add something new so that marketplaces can actually support this by default, you are in store for a nightmarish bureaucratic process of 3 or more years to get this into the standards. Just the other day, after 3 years of deliberation, they finally added royalties to the standard of NFTs in Ethereum. This upgrade added just 2 variables to the NFT. One states who gets the royalty, and the other one states how much the percentage is. That's it. And it took them 3 years to agree on this. If you translate the stuff that I'm about to show you into standards that we need to develop and publish on Ethereum, we are talking decades probably of discussions, and this is something that this is time we just didn't have. We wanted to launch on a version ecosystem where we can actually deliver quickly, iterate quickly, innovate quickly, and reach a really cool thing very, very fast, and make it so cool that it actually speeds up the standardization process elsewhere. So we want to make a cool thing first, test it with the community, see that it works, and then turn it into a standard for other chains so that we can move actually to EVM and optimize for that. That said, we are coming in some degree to EVM chains. Most of the chains that are connecting to Kusama right now actually support the Ethereum virtual machine inside of them, plus some extra functionality. And so you have something like the Zeitgeist chain, which focuses on prediction markets, but it's also integrating Remark functionality to add some NFTs to their entire setup, right? So the entire chain will be augmented with NFT functionality, but those will be further augmented with prediction market functionality. And I'll go through an example later on. That said, we are also looking at Polygon. For those of you who are not aware, Polygon is kind of like a layer 2 for Ethereum right now, so a scaling mechanism. But what they're planning to do is do something like Polkadot, where Polkadot has Substrate, a framework to build blockchains with, and then connect them to Polkadot. Polygon is building the same thing. They have a main chain that all other chains connect to. Only their chains that you build with their framework, which is a fork of Substrate, they come with EVM out of the box. And so this means that you basically get copies, clones of Ethereum, but with custom functionality on top. And so you can connect that to their version of the core relay chain, and then connect that to Ethereum. In a nutshell, we are going to spread out across the entire ecosystem, but our focus right now is very much on establishing a foothold in the substrate ecosystem and just becoming too cool to ignore, really, because frankly, we are. And so how did we develop NFTs for Kusama if Kusama doesn't have smart contracts? And why doesn't it have smart contracts? Because a chain that's designed to connect other chains needs to be as lightweight as possible. It can't really have that custom processing logic. If a chain's processing 100 other chains that are communicating with each other, you can't really have it bogged down with a CryptoKitties crash. So it needs to stay as lightweight as possible. And so it doesn't have smart contracts, and it doesn't really support any custom logic. Beyond what's already in there, like registering your identity, staking, and so on. So how did we do it? Well, we used an old method from Bitcoin called colored coins, where we essentially graffiti the blocks. I always use this example, like if you're walking down a city street and you see a blue turtle painted on a garage door, and you're a member of the Red Turtles gang, you'll know to turn away because otherwise you'll get your ass kicked. But if you're a civilian, you'll just think that's a cute turtle and you'll move along. Why is that? Because the gangs in the neighborhood, they have this language, common language. They have this understanding that when they see an opposing tag, they just don't go there. This graffiti works in a very similar way. We have established this language that other implementers can also implement in their own UIs, apps, tools, whatever. And as long as they adhere to this specification, so the RMRK language is a specification, they will also understand the messages we send. And these messages are actually the NFTs. So we have formed a special language that is communicated through block graffiti that tools can interpret and then see NFTs virtually. Right now, we have NFTs and collections, like in any other NFT ecosystem. You always have a collection, and you also have an NFT as part of that collection, even if it's just a one-off NFT. If you have multiple NFTs, they can go into one collection, or you can split them up into several collections. Doesn't matter. It always goes collection and NFT. And now, NFTs are popular, very popular. And even though they died down a little bit over the past few months, they're still very, very active. Just 2 days ago, some sort of Mila Kunis project called Stoner Cats sold out in 35 minutes. That was, I think, 10,000 cats at $800 each. 1 day after that, the Vogu project clogged up the network for 2 hours as people were buying digital illustrations of robots. Also several $1 million. And so NFTs are nowhere near done. They're just getting started, especially if you go beyond these just, they're called PFPs or personal profile pictures, projects that you buy, like expensive avatars, basically. So NFTs can be much more than expensive JPEGs and PNGs and whatever else. And we're taking them there with some interactions that we've built into the system. The first innovation that we did was the Emote Interaction, where you can actually send an emoticon to any NFT in the system. This works like you would expect on like your mobile messenger, where you're messaging with other people, and you have the emoji keyboard. It is exactly the same thing, only you can emote on any NFT in the system. And anyone who's following our spec will actually see these reactions. They will be able to see any emote that came in and that was sent to that NFT. Now, we combined that. So the emote functionality is useful for multiple things. For one, it's a great gamification and social mechanic where people just emote on each other's art. But another way is it's a great early price discovery method, at least relative price discovery. So when you have a lot of items that are very similar in some regard, if one starts attracting a lot of attention in the form of a ton of emotes, you will know that this is more worth than the other one, potentially, in some way. And we actually had a confirmation of this a while back when we were running our initial collectible offering with selling digital eggs. when egg number 8882 was sold, it turned out that this had a very lucky meaning in China, and this egg attracted thousands of emotes, basically overnight. And so this is kind of like a good verification there, and can be utilized in different ways. So like instead of counting the emotes as like one emote, one vote, you can also apply some bot-resistant mechanics to it. Like for example, you can check how active this emoter is on the blockchain in general, and if he's like I don't know, if a thumbs up comes from Gavin, then you know that this is a cool NFT, right? So an NFT with a thumbs up from Gavin is way more valuable than an NFT with a thumbs up from me. So this is an interesting mechanic there. We combine this with consume, which is basically burning an NFT, where people would send in emotes to their eggs, to their digital eggs, and these emotes would influence the look and functionality of the bird that hatches from this egg. And so we combined this together to form this Canary Project. And the Canary Project was this initial collectible offering where people bought these eggs, like I said, and the emotes affected the bird that would hatch from them. And near the end, this is what the state looked like. You can see a ton of people just bombarding their eggs with emotes. Now, a lot of this was bots and scripts. When people figured out you could script this, it got really fun. This caused us to break Kusama. And it was a really interesting learning experience for us, for everybody working at Parity, for everybody participating in this game altogether. It just turned out to be a very interesting experience. But it really worked. It took off, and this was also a confirmation of our thesis. In the meanwhile, we also launched Singular, which is our kind of UI to mint and trade NFTs. Very simple, but very UX focused right now to be as simple as possible, easy to use for everybody. 3 different methods of getting the crypto that you need to interact with the protocol. You can even buy it with a credit card or whatever. At the top, you'll see just the get KSM button, and you're good to go. But none of this is too special, right? You have all of this on other NFT platforms. It's just, like a gallery, you buy and sell NFTs, whatever. What's the big deal, right? Well, NFTs can be much more. They can be way more than really cool images. And in fact, you have a hint of how much more they can be here. This upper right thing is the soundtrack of the Polkadot Decoded conference, minted as an audio NFT, which you can buy and play on this site itself. Singular itself also supports reading PDF books, which means you can publish books already on Singular and read them there with the PDF reader. But they can be even more, yes, with the help of art Legos. We have 5 elementary art Legos as the basis for the new NFT system that will for sure take over the entire NFT industry once people catch on. These primitives are designed to be standalone. You can use each without the others, but they're also designed to work together so that when you combine them, you end up with a system of arbitrary complexity without needing to use smart contracts. By supporting these art Legos, which are very primitive, very simple to support, you're supporting automatically every single complex use case that can arise from them. This is the power of RMRK art Legos. You will no longer be constrained to your own UI once you build a system on RMRK 2.0, like you would be on Ethereum by building a custom smart contract for your NFTs. On Ethereum, for example, there was recently a project called EtherCards that's very similar to our Canary bird and actually inspired Canary with the trait system, where you have some crystals that augment the birds that will hatch. So they had some an attribute on the card that basically gives you some sort of bonus. If you load these cards into OpenSea, you do not see these bonuses. It's a custom feature that they do not support. But with RMRK, you automatically see everything that RMRK supports in every UI that implements the RMRK art Legos. Lego 1 is NFTs being able to own other NFTs. So you no longer have to be an account to own an NFT or a smart contract. You can have an NFT own another NFT. This is as simple as just sending an NFT to another NFT. Done. There are no restrictions in terms of how many levels deep you can go. because the system, the spec, only cares about its next neighbor. So an NFT is only aware of its parent and its child or children, and it doesn't care about the other levels. If you want to care about the other levels, then you read them from the perspective of the next neighbor. And this prevents stack overflow and prevents any kind of, running into roadblocks there with depth and blowing the stack. Additionally, these NFTs can be layered SVGs in that one NFT can equip another NFT. By equipping it, it combines the visuals so that you end up with a composable SVG that creates a composite image from different parts. The trick is that these parts can be NFTs on their own. So the spear of this character is a separate NFT, and the character has an empty hand otherwise. But in this case, this character has the spear in its inventory and it's also equipped. And so then it changes. The beautiful thing about this is any UI integrating our renderer for Remark 2.0 stuff will automatically support this and dynamically react to these changes. If you change your equipment in Singular, your avatar will change in Karura if you're using it there. And so that's what's pretty cool. I'm just going to pause here because I see some questions. I like the thumbs up from Gavin, shows it's more valuable line. Continuing that thought, would there be a way to create a UI to display which emotes a specific account has given to which NFTs, i.e. starting the search at the account address? So any plans to implement it in the Singular's UI? Yeah, you actually can already. If you click on the emotes on any NFT, you can actually see who emoted on them. So this is already supported, if that's what you mean. I can actually try and show you this. Hold on. Let's see. I can find some emoted NFT. There we go. This one has 2 emotes. Ruben is a great artist, by the way. Really beautiful stuff here. And so if you click on this emote pill, you'll notice that it just shows you who reacted to this and when. You can also view by account. So you can see that this guy reacted with a smiley, this guy reacted with stars. You can visit the spaces, so these are the accounts, the portfolios of these accounts as well. So you already have this functionality. You can't really, search, you can't really start at the account level, so it's really difficult to just go to somebody's account and then see what they emoted on from here. We could make it, but we didn't yet. We'll look into it when we have time. It's not really a priority, but you do have a fine-grained view of emotes. Could you make this on an Ethereum sidechain or L2 for frequent interactions? We could, in theory, but in practice, it will still be very inefficient on something like Polygon. So Polygon is like the de facto standard for L2 scaling for Ethereum right now. Even that is currently too clogged because once again, what happens is when you have one chain that does everything, so coffee transactions, gold transactions, DeFi, everything, and then if that gets saturated, and you just move all the saturation over into another chain that's an L2 designed to scale that first chain, what you end up with is a saturated other chain. And so then you would need another one where you offload the other stuff. And again, it's the same bundle of mixed things. And so Polygon is already having trouble having full blocks. So it doesn't really help much, and it's still inefficient, and it can still be expensive, even though it's really cheap to interact with stuff there. So yes, in theory, but it's not a long-term solution by any shot. Okay. All right, let's move on. So the next art Lego is multi-resource NFTs, and this is a really cool one. With multi-resource NFTs, one NFT can have different outputs. And so with an NFT, for example, like an ebook, you can upload an audio file, a PDF file, and a JPEG. And if you load that NFT into Audible, it will play back. It will just play the audio. If you load it into Kindle, or if you load it into Singular, our app, you will read it as a PDF. And if you load it into something like OpenSea, which doesn't support neither audio nor PDF, you will get to see that cover image, right? And so you get these different renders depending on what you want. Like if you have a 3D model and you have the Remark plugin installed for 3ds Max. And you can load an NFT directly into 3ds Max, and it'll just pull the model file for you. So this is really cool, because it allows you to really customize what an NFT encompasses. It can be so many things at once, that shares different contexts, that switches context based on what it's being loaded in. And that's really powerful. But what this is also useful is resource fallback. So a huge problem in Ethereum right now is the fact that most art is stored on, not most, but a lot of the art is stored on centralized servers. And so if that server goes down, so does your art. Art rug pulls are very possible, very real. And I myself have a few NFTs in my profile which are now replaced by an image that says moved to Matic. If this were really uncensorable, this would not have been possible. But they had control over the art and they just changed it. So now I should go reclaim my NFTs on Matic. That's Polygon. And so to get around this, you can actually store the art of your NFT on multiple services like IPFS for decentralized storage, a centralized server, Arweave, Sia, Filecoin, Storj, Swarm, all the other protocols for decentralized storage you can use. And they can become different resources for that NFT. And so if one of them disappears, you just move on to the next one. One of them is going to stay alive. If they all die, then your art deserves to die because you weren't keeping an eye on it. But it's a really cool concept of being able to use fallback resources for your NFT. Then we have on-chain emotes, which I've already explained. And we also have conditional rendering. Conditional rendering is the ability to apply simple logic to your NFT that reacts to some on-chain or off-chain switches and triggers. For example, since the NFT is aware of its emotes, you can say, I have an NFT of Mona Lisa. One resource is normal Mona Lisa. The other resource is blushing Mona Lisa. I can set the priority of these resources to be normal and then blushing, so that every UI that shows my NFT will default to the normal Mona Lisa. But I can also add in a bit of logic that says, if this NFT gets 50 kissy emojis, then switch the priority to make the Mona Lisa blushing image first and the regular one second. And with that simple modification, I made my NFT react to other people's reactions to it. And so this is just one piece of the art Lego puzzle where you can just put these conditions in here, but these conditions can actually affect a lot more, like alter parts of an image, change backgrounds, foregrounds, and so on, which we'll see a little bit later. And we also have, of course, NFTs governed as DAOs. Fractionalization of NFTs is already popular in Ethereum. A lot of projects are turning NFTs into fungible tokens. The thing is that in Ethereum, that's not used for anything other than gambling. What you do there is you just turn an NFT into fungible tokens, and you pull them in some DeFi, earn yield, whatever, you gamble on them, you speculate. Here, you can interact with the NFTs a lot. Like you can equip or unequip that spear, you can change the priority of the order, you can add new logic into an NFT, lots of stuff. And if you divide that into community ownership with some split tokens, you get collective issuance of those commands. So the community will issue those commands plutocratically, in that whoever owns the most tokens will basically take over, but you get the gist. It's just like modern on-chain democracy. And so you can see some inklings of things like a collaborative Twitch stream. Like a Twitch streamer goes onto a raid or something, and the characters and NFT and the loadout gets decided. So the equip commands are decided by the community who own the Twitch streamer's tokens. And so now they equip the character with whom that Twitch streamer goes into battle or something. Just one trivial example. Okay, no important questions. So these are the art Legos that basically create something cool when you put them together. You need to kind of take them all into account combined to get the full power of the system. Technically, the way it works is we have entities, and I'm going to keep this as non-technical as I can. We have several entities. A base is like a blueprint for a resource. Remember, a resource is just a part of one NFT. We'll visualize this a little bit later. One base can have parts and themes, and themes are useful for if you have like one axe, that axe can be purple, green, or blue. And that's a theme applied to an axe rather than having to mint 3 separate axes. NFTs can have resources, which can be either static, like a general image or a movie or an audio file or something, or a base, so this base resource. And NFTs belong to collections. So when visually, previously NFTs were just an image, now they're like a box of resources. And they belong to collections. An image resource can be one of the resources of that NFT, but it can also have another, like a PDF resource. And it can also have a base. And so this is a base with multiple parts. These are all parts, and parts can stack on top of each other. We use Z indexes to stack them. So this one has the lowest Z index, this one has +1, +2, +3. All right. And so you have these parts that can stack. One can be themed, one can be a slot into which you can equip another NFT, then another themed one, and then a top part. And when you put them all together, you end up with a cool image. And then you can also alter priorities. So in a UI, the visualization will show you the image first, then the base, then the PDF. But you can also switch the priority so that the PDF comes first, then the base, and then the image. And when you visualize this now in a UI, if the UI doesn't support PDFs, then it will default to base first and then image second. So it always follows this priority, which you can switch. So you can flip between which priority resource you want to display. And this is something we're using in the Canary Project, where some people have alternative art on their birds that was custom commissioned by really cool artists. And people can switch between the base resource, which is a composed image of different parts of birds, or the commissioned art. We also have several interactions, more than a dozen actually, interactions to interact with this new system. And you can now see here how complicated this would be to develop and standardize on Ethereum. But because we were starting with a clean slate, we could iterate really quickly and develop these as we were, evolving the project. So let's go through an example. This is the Chunky Funky example, and let's assume that we have a character called Chunky. Let's assume that we want to put some items into his hands, like a flag and a pencil. If you just create a flag and a pencil and try to add them to a character visually, you end up with this. No good. You could get around with this by cropping the flag or pencil so that it fits in the hand. That's not a good solution. A better solution is to do this. You separate out the hand from the base. And so now you have this, all of this is a base, and these are all parts. This is a body part, this is a left hand part, and a right hand part. And what you end up with is this part here has a Z index of 0, which means it's at the bottom, and these hands have a Z index of 2, which means they're above it. And Z index 1 is reserved for a slot into which an item can go. Now we can place these items into the Chunky's hands. But if you consider the viewport, there's a big square around him. If you look at the flag itself, you can see that it's right in the viewport. And that looks weird if you visualize it on a main screen, on a main search result page. So for that, you can see this doesn't really look good, right? And so you would add another resource that actually centers this flag. And so one resource is reserved for being equipped in the Chunky's hand, while another resource is reserved to be the main display in galleries or your inventory or wherever else. Now let's say that a new project arrives, the Funky, and we want them to hold items as well. But obviously this doesn't, like we know already that we have to split this up, that's fine. But obviously this doesn't fit the previous item. It's much smaller and at an angle when compared to the Chunky flag. So we add another resource, a smaller and angled flag. So now the flag has 3 different resources. The real kicker here is that you can add additional resources to an NFT long after it's been minted. And this gives future proofing to the NFT. You can add new resources to NFTs without being aware of which projects are coming in the future. If 5 years down the line, somebody develops a blockchain-based Minecraft, and we just add a new 3D resource to the same flag NFT, it will become compatible with that Minecraft project. And people will be able to equip it in that one. And so you get long-lasting liquidity, long-lasting utility, forward compatibility with your NFTs on Remark. They don't stay in your wallet and gather dust until the next hype wave hits. Instead, they have long-lasting utility that really extends into future projects almost indefinitely. And so you end up with two different characters with two different resources, two unrelated NFT projects. And so now if I have like a Bored Ape on NFT that has a hoodie, but I also have a CryptoKitty Generation 2, that kitty could equip the Bored Ape's hoodie if the ape unequips it. And so these are all child NFTs and mutual NFT interactions. So the flag itself is a separate NFT, but it has a resource that matches the hand of the chunky and the hand of the funky. And so depending on which character you equip it in, that is what resource gets used. And so now if you put it all together, this is the demonstration of the Canary project. So with Canary, you have like this whole end result. And the end result is a card and some inventory. And at the bottom, you have like the rarity indicator. Then you have some gems, which are non-transferable NFTs. Then you have the image of the bird rendered from different parts of the base. And the items with their resources rendered on the bird itself. The bird itself has several different parts. These are all highlighted here. So you have a different, like a lower body, tail, left wing, right wing, head, face, and so on. And what's not shown here is that wings are actually split into two. You have a front of the wing and a back of the wing. And this is exactly what's happening in this Chunky Funky example where you split the hand and the arm. The birds work exactly the same way. In order to hold the martini glass like this, the bird has this front wing part and the back wing part. And the glass is above the back but behind the front. Same with the trumpet here. Then you also have randomness applied to these base parts. And these are not tradable. So these are like base modifications of the birds. You cannot trade these visuals. But the slots maintained. The slots are kept in their positions, and these are left wing, right wing, head wear, chest wear, a different tail, background, foreground, and some other stuff, I think. And so if you put them together, you end up with some really wild combinations of bird looks and feels and items and everything that guarantees that every bird will basically be unique. So with the inventory, what you have here is the jetpack of the bird. You can see that you have an unequip button, which lets you unequip it. Same with trumpet and martini glass. You can also see here with the lock icon that some items are non-transferable, which means you can only unequip them, but you cannot transfer them to other owners of birds or even just accounts. You can also see that the bird has some non-equipped items like the trident and the hard hat. And if you were to equip the trident, it would ask you, here it depends. If the trident has two resources, one for the left wing and the right wing, it would ask you into which wing you want to equip it. If it has only one, then it's going to equip it into that wing, and it will automatically unequip the other item that's already in that wing. It can also contain unrelated NFTs like the polka dot decoded ticket, and it can contain other birds themselves. So here's this bird containing another bird, and that bird can then contain its own NFTs, which can contain their own NFTs and so on. And it can also contain bundles of fungible tokens. This works like vouchers. Basically, you send fungible tokens into a lock account, a voucher is generated for you. This voucher is an NFT that you put into this NFT, and to get your fungible tokens back, you just burn the voucher. So the Canary project actually spread out pretty nicely across a ton of different chains. Unique Network that specializes in NFTs is going to inherit our logic. Karura, a DeFi chain, they're going to add Remark. And by using Canary, you will have certain birds that when you have them, they will boost your interest rates and income on the DeFi chain. It's pretty cool. Then you have Zeitgeist, the prediction market chain, which also adds prediction market logic to our NFTs. And so you can imagine this as if you have like if you make a wild prediction on Zeitgeist and then you win, you actually end up with an NFT that's pretty rare, right? And so DeFi chains like Karura might allow you to use that NFT as collateral to take out a loan. And they can do this because they all support Remark logic. by supporting remark logic, they enabled seamless teleportation of non-fungible assets from one chain to the other. They basically turned Remark into an unofficial shared runtime environment where, in order to support NFTs across the entire Polkadot ecosystem, all you have to do is support Remark. And you automatically support NFTs on every chain that connects, that has agreed to support us, which is extremely cool. And the other example is a billboard. Now, I don't know if this video is going to play. I want to play it for you, but I need to check if I can make it share the audio of the screen as well. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Let me know if you can hear this as a sound. Could you hear this? No, okay, no sound. All right, doesn't matter. I will show this to you in slides, but I will also share the link to the video so you can watch it later. Hold on. This should help. All right, so check out the slides first, I guess. So if we have the metaverse represented as NFTs, then somebody can buy a plot of land that's represented as an NFT. And then they can buy a billboard NFT on Singular. And that NFT can have multiple resources, a 3D text, a 3D resolution, a 3D model, 2D representation, whatever else. And so he can then send that billboard to the land and order the land to equip it. And now the billboard shows up in the metaverse. And then he can fractionalize that billboard into tokens and give them to the community. So then the corporations realize that a lot of eyes are seeing this billboard and they want to put their ad on there. What they need to do is they mint another NFT that basically matches the texture of this ad. And they send these NFTs into the billboard, but the billboard doesn't care about them. The billboard instead ignores them until the community decides collectively, because remember, they now own the billboard through fungibilization. The community can decide based on the bribes from the corporations which ad to display, because they collectively issue the equip command for the NFT that's sent in. And so what you get here is you get community-governed virtual real estate management and investing, which can give you returns on profits based on virtual real estate that corporations are renting from you as a group, and all in NFTs. Now, to wrap up the presentation, a soft roadmap is here. We are going to finalize Canary this week and the next, and launch a new Canary item badge throughout August. We're then going to develop the core palette MVPs and launch on chains that support us, and then open up beta for a lot of different testing and different projects that we have partnered up with in the past few months. For some links, if you want to save them, we have here email, always free to get in touch via email. Follow us on Twitter, get into the Telegram group where you probably already are. Get subscribed to our YouTube channel, because that's where all the tutorials and the reveals will be coming. And subscribe to our newsletter at news.nft.review. Join our beta, get in touch, and apply for grants if you want to build on top of this. This is open to everybody. And now I want to show you a very basic demo of some 2.0 functionality that's coming that I know a lot of people were excited about. I will just, let me see if I can just grab these links here and put them in the chat. There you go. I hope that's clear. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay. All right, so let's see here. This is a testnet version of our stuff that's coming. You have here, like if I refresh, you have here 4 birds being rendered. And you can see them popping into view gradually as they render, because they are actually being composed in real time from different parts. You'll also have a filter here for birds versus items. And if you see these items, these are all the different backgrounds that you can have. And these are some items that people can actually equip into their birds. So for example, this legendary rainbow poop is an item that you can equip into your bird if you own it. Now, if you go to birds, and you'll have a filter here for everything, so you can search when there's a lot of stuff, you can just search by grade, by rarity, by, like edition, everything. And so if we go into the super founder, you can also see that it's rendering slowly now. And you can see here that this bird, this cyberpunk bird, is mine. So I can list it for sale or gift it or do whatever I want with it. I can emote to it, so you emote by just reacting here. But also here, this little icon means backpack. And so this is it's not an actual backpack. Every NFT has this if it owns other NFTs, but it's just represented as a backpack. It's just this shows you the children, the NFTs that this NFT owns. If you click on this now, don't think of this as finalized. This is still very much under development. We'll flesh out the design at the end once all of this 100% works. And this is going to support a preview so that you don't have to issue a transaction after every single equip or unequip. But if you look at the bird right now, you can see that it has this. This is a basic cyberpunk bird. These are just the base parts of the cyberpunk set. This is a unique set for the cyberpunk bird. And now you can see here that I have some items. I have the Remark City background, a laptop stand, a cyber necklace, and the cyber glasses. And so let's say I want to equip the cyber glasses. I'm going to need my password here. So I'll click equip. It'll ask me to confirm a transaction. I paste it in, sign. Now, in the future, when you click these equip buttons and everything, you'll see the preview of the bird here generated, and then you will be able to finalize one equip with one button. So you don't have to wait for a transaction every time you do this. But for now, it's just one by one. So now it's equipping these glasses. And if I close this, as soon as the transaction finalizes, there you go. The glasses have appeared on the bird. And so now the bird is wearing these glasses. And at any point in time, you will be able to take these glasses out of the bird as an NFT of their own and put it on the marketplace to sell to other people. And in fact, I think I can click through here already. No, I can't here, but I can go here into catalog, to items, and I can inspect the cyber glasses. You can see here that this is the problem that I mentioned before. So this is an unflashed part of the UI. The glasses appear in the exact position where they are on the bird, which means that we need another resource for these glasses, for them to be shown in a, like a centered and bigger, zoomed in way. So all of the items that we're developing, and this is one part of the hold up, all of the items are getting their own stylized special look that get rendered as the main view, because otherwise this looks a little ridiculous. But generally, you can see here that this is a common item that fits into the headwear slot. So slots have to be defined on the item so that the so that Singular knows where to equip them. And you can see here that it's in this NFT, but it's owned by Alice, created by Alice. All right. So if I click on this, I will go into the NFT that is actually owning these glasses. And that's basically how it all works. So in this catalog, you will have this entire catalog of all the items. Now this is very Canaria specific. So this is going to appear on canaria.remark.app first. It's going to be test driven there, and we'll move it into Singular later once we're really happy with the UI and how everything works on Canaria. So again, Canaria is going to be our canary for Singular. So we're going to test everything here, test everything with the birds, but the items themselves, everything that is on offer, will be tradable, sellable, listable on Singular. You can share them there. You can trade them there. You can do whatever you want with them there. So if I go to birds, and now I can just equip also the Remark City background, You notice that I didn't have to confirm my enter my password because I've already set to remember it. Now the background is being changed. Now this is the default background. When you don't have any background, this is what's shown. And it depends on the rarity of the card. But now that I've equipped another one, now it's flying in Remark City. You can also equip a laptop stand because the bird needs to get some work done. And it's very difficult to see with sunglasses when you're typing, so let's unequip the glasses as well. Let's see if this works. And these crystals are also slots that will keep, that will hold the special items that we will be minting for, you know, like founders and stuff. These are the trade slots. There we go. Glasses disappeared, laptop appeared. The bird can now get some work done. Get to work on finishing Remark 2.0 bird. Yuri, if you can send me the poop, I will equip the poop. I don't own the poop. Let me see who owns the poop. Maybe I can hijack the poop. Where's the poop? Mr. Hanky, who owns you? Alice owns the poop. I think Alice would need to send the poop. Yuri, can you send me the poop? Yuri, throw some poop. Yuri, I need the poop. Could you adjust the size of the catalog box instead of the NFT element to maintain image quality? In theory, but if you look at the item separately, let me start answering that. Okay. If we look at this item, it is at one position in the viewport. And if you look at another item, it is at another position in the viewport. And there's no easy way to determine where that item is in order to zoom in specifically on it. Additionally, there's no guarantee that other UIs will do this well. So rather than rely on everybody to interpret this position accurately, because they're all positioned in the same viewport, but relatively to that viewport, we think it's way easier to just add a nice, stylized, beautiful resource that communicates this way better. Because keep in mind that this is forward compatible with other projects, and the way it looks in the bird, it might not look like that in, you know, like Duke Nukem 5000 when it comes out on blockchain in 10 years. Somebody might mint, you know, like a necklace with tits or something and put it on Duke Nukem, and then this is not going to apply. This is going to look really weird. But if you make a nice stylized preview of this necklace that's centered, then it kind of applies to all the projects, kind of generic. It's not too opinionated about the project it gets used in. In this case, it is for Canaria, by Canaria, but we very much want to make this forward compatible with other projects in the future. Okay, so it looks like Yuri cannot send me the poop right now because the send listener is disabled on this UI. Is that right, Yuri? You can't send me the poop? Poop is on the way. Yes. All right. Very cool. Poop is on the way. Excellent. Let's wait for the poop to appear. So, do I need to pay transaction fee every time I equip the bird? Yes, you do. In this case, every time you click, you will need to pay a transaction fee. That's like 2 cents or something. However, we will make it so that this will be like a cart, and you will batch all of your equip transactions into one cart. And when you're happy with the loadout, you just click finalize. And when you click finalize, they all get applied at once, so you only pay the transaction fee once. But yes, every change to the chain requires a transaction on the chain, and so it needs it needs a transaction fee. I have been following the project for a while. Team main focuses also on the NFT arts. Tokenomics is important also. So any plans? So we do not have any plan how to revamp the tokenomics yet. Some event to let community members propose. Feel free to propose solutions to us in the chat. We will consider all of them. Hey, look, something died. Yuri, my bird died. Oh, they're coming back. Yes, good point, Kevin. Yeah, the tokenomics. If you're not familiar with the problem is that we actually, in regards to the token of the Remark protocol, we fair dropped it to all the egg initial collectible offering buyers. So everybody who bought some of the digital eggs, they got a proportional right to as many Remark tokens. So 100% of the tokens were allocated for the egg sale. If all the eggs were to be sold out, then all the tokens would be distributed. We sold 88% of the eggs, which means we only have 11% of the tokens left. Around 5% of that will go on market making on centralized exchanges that intend to list us. And we have 1% earmarked for a token exchange with notable projects, which means we have around 5% left. If we do anything with that beyond lock it up for the team, then the team gets 0 tokens. So the most likely scenario is the team will lock that up for a very long time to vest, and the rest will go into liquidity making on centralized exchanges. We're kind of finalizing the decision on that and seeing if that's the best way to go forward, but we don't really see much other options. In regards to the token itself, that has been minted on the StateMine chain, but it cannot be sent out because there's a bug with multi-signature wallets, which we're waiting for to be resolved. So as soon as that's resolved, we'll be minting the token and then building the token claiming UI. That by itself is not too complicated, so it shouldn't take like more than a week after the token can be used on StateMine. There's not going to be any Binance listing. And if it is going to be, I'm not going to tell you about it. As we have seen in recent times, the energy footprint of crypto is a hot button issue, particularly for corporates and institutions. Can you speak to the carbon and energy footprint of interactive rich media NFTs? Can a resource be developed that quantifies and tracks this data and accompanies each NFT? Yes. Interacting about 7 million times with any Remark NFT spends about as much energy as Mother Nature needs to digest a chewing gum. This is because Kusama is a proof-of-stake chain that uses virtually no energy, just regular computers, and your average government, organization that keeps computers on for employees to play solitaire on uses about 7 orders of magnitude more energy per day than the entire Kusama blockchain does. So this is not a concern at all in any way. Like in general, but least of all on Kusama. There's no worry about carbon footprint of this. There are way bigger polluters out there to worry about. Can you purchase in both fiat and crypto? Yes, you can. You can, the Get KSM button on Singular and on Canary actually supports 3 different methods of buying, of getting your KSM. Now, you have to use KSM to get the NFTs, but you can get KSM very easily. You just click Get KSM. You have here Ramp, which is going to ask you for some KYC. You have here Electrocoin, which redirects to their site, and there's no KYC if you're converting from another crypto. And there's some minimal KYC if you're paying with euro or dollars, but it only supports the SEPA zone, so the European purchase zone. And you also have Simple Swap, which essentially supports everything and everywhere, so you can use it very easily as well. You can just switch to dollars or whatever here, I think. No, this is crypto only. So yeah, this is token to token. We will be adding a service called MoonPay, which lets you directly buy into NFTs with a credit card, but we're waiting for them to support Kusama. This is next on their pipeline. As soon as they do, we'll be adding them. So everyone's interested when we'll receive our birds. You can expect the birds to start appearing at the end of next week. Not all of them will appear at once. We'll focus on the rarest ones first, and then it should be rapid fire, and birds should be flying into people's accounts at a very rapid pace. So as you can see, like the logic is almost completely done. What's missing is UI. So we cannot release this UI, and UI is, you know, like a sensitive issue. You have to make it, you have to do it well, otherwise you alienate users because they think it's too complicated. So we have to make this really, really good. Once we do, it's you know, it's game time. One other blocker that we're right now struggling with is doing the descriptions and thumbnails for all the items, because all of the items have some sort of description. Like if you inspect an item, still no poop. If you inspect an item, sorry, let's check this out. You'll see that it has some flavor text, like Mr. Hanky, the noble cousin of Mr. Prune, Mr. Nugget, is a valuable companion. You know, like you have to have something, otherwise it looks bland and, you know, empty. And most of these descriptions are actually AI generated, so they should be fun to read. But it still takes some time to generate them. It's not an automatic process. And so we need to generate these names, these descriptions, and of course good stylized main images for them, otherwise they look ridiculous. So this is the main holdup. The logic is done, the spec is done, the tools are done. We're at 97% with tools and spec, and so, you know, it's almost ready. We're almost there. Yuri's, is the poop coming? I want to equip the poop. The other birds can be seen, but I do not own them, so I can't do anything with them. So you can just inspect them. So this is a robot bird, an old-timey, old-school steampunky robot that lives in Fantasyland. So there's a fantasy background and a base bird with no items. A base robot bird. This bird is a wind bird, a tornado bird that is in a tornado background, and it also has a water splash. And this water splash is actually an item itself, and this metal is also an item itself. You can see this. You inspect the items here, and you can see here there's the water splash. And random burst of water indicate a water elemental's presence. Whatever could that mean? Well, we'll see as Canary's universe expands. Yes. Next page, you can see here. Oh no, pagination, it's not implemented. Right. Oh, there it is. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. Some more items. So there's a jetpack here. There's a gemstone necklace, a cat mask, sports medal, robot head. Alright, cool. It's a Super Founder 4, but I can't equip it. Oh, cool. Okay, so Super Founder 4 defaults to another resource to be shown. So if you look at it in the catalog, you can see that okay, it fails to render here because there's no thumbnail for this render in particular. And when we have a thumbnail, it's going to show up as the smaller version of this illustration. But this is an illustration for the Super Founder Bird 4, and you will be able to switch between this one and the composite, the base-based bird like this. So you can switch between them as you wish. All right. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to wrap it up here. Hope it was interesting, and hope you can stay patient for just a little while longer. We're almost there. You can see that this is really moving along swimmingly, and yeah, I'm really excited to get this out as much as you are. We want to start wrapping awesome projects from Ethereum, turning them into Remark projects, building our own secondary item ecosystem, building a like a smithy where you can melt down items that you don't want and construct other items if you want to equip them. It's freaking crazy. Like the stuff we have planned here, this is like a multi-chain level MMO that everybody will play whether they want to or not. It's insane how well spread out this is, and it will enhance every NFT project out there. We're super excited about this. I am hearing that the poop has landed. Let me see if the poop has indeed landed. There's no poop. Let me refresh. Go poop. Come on, poop. Don't leave us hanging. Go poop. Yuri, there's no poop. Where's the poop? Where's the poop? Oh, maybe I have it in my nest. I do. I have it in my nest. can't let me test this out. My goodness. Hold on. If I do this, is this gonna work? Yuri, is this gonna work? Or am I gonna embarrass myself? Let me see. Items. Hold on. My nest. Items. Poop. Let me send the poop. Please work. No, it doesn't work. I wanted to send it into the bird so that I can equip it, but it looks like the send dialog still doesn't accept NFT IDs. No! The question is, do you have any upcoming partnerships? Upcoming partnerships, yes. I'm thinking which ones I can talk about. Let me check my list. Maybe some of them are more public than others. 1 second. Hold on. Yes. Okay. We have a partnership with a project that does murals all over the city of Vukovar. So these are going to be digitized and turned into singular NFTs. So you can buy digital copies of the murals. We also have a partnership with an application that lets you collect NFTs as you cycle around Europe and view them in the app. Also, we're getting integrated into Fearless Wallet, so we'll be able to use NFTs mobile. And we are in talks with a team that is, I hope, watching this, who are interested in building like an ebook store on chain, on RMRK. Should be really interesting, especially with the multi-resources, as I explained with the ebook example. So these are some of them, but I can't go into specifics about others or about these, actually. We'll reveal everything on the blog in due time and on Twitter. All right, sorry about the poop. The poop is gonna remain in my own pockets and not the birds, unfortunately, for now. But this is a relatively easy fix, so it should be possible fairly soon. Maybe I can record a GIF later on and post it on Twitter of me actually having equipped the poop. See how that worked out. Anyway, if there are no other questions, thank you, Kevin. Love you too. If there are no other questions, I'm going to end it here. Like I said, feel free to get in touch with through any of these links. Yeah, follow us. Stay tuned. It's a very exciting time, and we're very happy to be this close to the launch finally. Thank you all for tuning in, and see you in the next one. Bye.